So here we are today for Create and Sell AI Art with me, Andrew Kavanagh, and Rick McCawley. So I'm going to be focusing on showing basically, how I take a prompt, put it through Bing, maybe Adobe Firefly. If we have time, maybe Leonardo, and then how I tweak some of my prompts. Sometimes it's direct. Sometimes it works just the way I want it. Other times I tweak it and give you some ideas about that. And then I download the image, bring it into Photoshop where I run it through Topaz Photo AI and do some nice color correction, tonal correction, and color grading, either with Camera Raw in Photoshop, but also one of my favorite plugins, which I will show you. So stick around, pay
Ooh,
attention.
cool. Sounds like the same process I do. And in fact, if you go back to our picture that we're using there, each one of us contributed one of our own pictures, kind of inspired by each other. Exactly. The one on the
Yeah,
left is mine and the one on the right is yours. And I love the new series you're doing, with the octopus one. And I
yeah.
think as an artist, one of the coolest things is you get this sort of style. You have something to say from your perspective that's unique to you, right? And I think it's kind of amazing. This is a playground moment for everybody who's been an artist or wants to be one or just wants to have some fun, right? So we all get to sing in the choir and have some fun with making some art. So let's see how you do it.
Right. So my friend says, love AI. Yep. And then my other friend, Sarah Kuda says, do you have a manual for this? I'm catching this on a 5-minute break. So
Oh,
just,
yeah.
so
We've
just
got it
let,
downloadable for you to download. So that will be attached everywhere you see this
right.
podcast. Once it's done, we'll have the downloadable for you, and we're going to pop it in the private chat here for you all to grab
And,
it. It's a PDF of the entire PowerPoint plus about 20 pages worth of notes about how to go sell your artwork. So it's
and,
all the links to all the different companies and stuff that you need.
right. And keep your eye on the top of the groups or my Facebook page for the link to the recording itself, which goes to my YouTube. So,
And I'll
okay.
be cross posting the same way on mine. So
I,
follow me at Rick McCawley everywhere. So you just type that in Google and you'll find me.
I
So
wish I had done that. Like I wish I did Drew Cav everywhere, but you'll see my links later on today, everybody. So welcome everybody. Let us know where you're watching from, and then we got a lot to go over, so we'll be jumping in soon. Don't be shy now. There's at least 27 people watching. So where are you watching from? I know it's quite the diverse range in the groups. So
yeah,
probably
I'd love
people.
to know as we go along what kind of things, as we go through each thing, please ask questions because I'm going to be stopping back and forth and monitoring it. Fort Lauderdale, yes, that's where I
Yeah.
am too.
Belgrade,
Oh, great. Oh, wow. Hello.
Colorado. Hi, Chuck. Good to see you.
Awesome. Isn't this amazing we can do this?
Someone Facebook user, Maria.
Italy.
Yeah,
Hello,
nice.
Maria. How are you?
And then do see a whole slew of Facebook users. So let me just
Nice
remind
and
everybody.
nice. Dallas.
So let me remind everybody to please give StreamYard permission to show your name and profile pic so that I'll be able to credit you when you comment or ask questions. Right underneath the live, you scroll down in the description. You see the link for StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click that, give permissions, jump on back. Thank you. So we got Jesse, New Brunswick.
Canada.
My
Hi,
friend
Jesse.
Suzanne, who's also a community expert, is
Hi
here.
again, Suzanne.
Let's see.
She asked some great questions last time.
We got
Whistler.
Gianna from LinkedIn, the world of LinkedIn. And Kathy Newman, who also used to be an admin for the Photoshop and Lightroom group, does some great
Oh,
art
welcome.
herself. Good
Yeah.
to see you here, Kathy. Cool. I will, lots to go over, so let me share my screen, jump on in. And before I do that, let me copy my prompt.
If you saw the last episode of this show, we plan to do this regular basis. Of course, both of us are both ambassadors for Adobe and community experts as well, and digital artists. And I think it's going to be great to see how other people work. I think Andrew's style of image making is very succinct and to his particular way of working. And I think as a professor of fine art and graphic design, I've been studying how people kind of express themselves, and I think it's beautiful the way Andrew does that.
Cool. Yeah, I tend to lean towards the surreal and psychedelic, as you can see here. So, so what I tend to do is, and here I am, just so people know, as you can see here, option 8 says image creator from designer, which is the Bing image creator, which you can get at bing.com/images. So start here. You'll see over here that they only give you like 15 of these kind of like tokens per day on the free. Uh, well, I wouldn't say subscription, just the free direct, access to it. Um, and the good news is that you get at least 4 generations per token. Boost, I guess what they call them. So they call them boosts. So you get 4 generations. And it does seem like you obviously can still create after the 15 go down. It just sometimes it's slower. Um, as you can see here as well, I have 15,000 points from doing their surveys, Microsoft Edge surveys, Microsoft Bing on Edge. And so I've tried to go down past the 15 mark so I can use those points to get extra, boosts, but it always just seems to replenish for me anyways. Okay, so here you can see up here is the area to put your prompt. It says, want to see how image creator works, select surprise, then create. So yeah, you could do that. You can start off hitting the surprise me on the right. Otherwise, you can create your own prompt. I worked on one previously and paste it. So surreal artwork. I started seeing the double exposure style of different people. So typed in double exposure of human profile and forest scene, artistic symbolic connection between humanity and nature. And one thing
So, Andrew, you can also use the image creator, which is actually Dolly 3, right? Within the app called Bing, which is free also. And you get ChatGPT 4 at the same time,
is
which
this
you
the
can go
mobile?
back and forth with. Yeah.
This is the mobile one you're saying?
Yeah. You can. I do it on my phone all the time. So I just talk to it instead of typing anything. I
Sure.
just talk to it all day.
Yeah, I kind of prefer creating on the
Yeah.
desktop. I've
You
got a
got a
nice
lot bigger image to look at, and you
27.
can see your recent work there.
Yeah, I got a 27-inch monitor, and I like to see it larger. So I posted in the prompt, and one bit of advice I'll give you is a great thing to do is to join various Facebook groups that are AI focused, and it's not always the case where people will automatically share their prompts, but there will be a good handful of people who will. And sometimes you can ask if they'll share a prompt as long as you're, respectful of them. Some people are like, "What's the prompt?" I don't think that's good.
My precious, my
Yeah,
precious.
I don't think that's good behavior in the groups. It's better to be kind of grateful and ask in a nice way. But you can learn a lot with the different groups, and I think Rick might touch upon this later too before he jumps into the kind of selling focus. Is other ways that you can find prompts from, say, images that you've already created. But let me kind of work on this. So I put this in. These are previous images. This is a different one altogether. So I put that in. I just hit create. And then it's the little preview progress bar.
And if you say something naughty, you'll get a horrible looking dog. Look who threw up on your picture or something. And yeah, don't try to circumvent that. If you use anybody's intellectual property, oh my God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, so some pretty nice. And so,
That.
you know, similar to Adobe Firefly, when you click on it, you get a larger preview. Over here, you can save. I guess save would be like saving it to a collection, your own library, and then you
Oh,
can
okay.
download.
You
So I
can't do that
usually,
on the phone, so that's nice.
yeah. See, I always kind of prefer desktop. It always seems to have more options.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you hit customize, that will take you to the Designer. So that's the Microsoft Designer app, which is kind of like
Okay.
Adobe Express. So
Ah, okay.
I've never done that, but it's nice to know that I can just click on customize, take me right there. I can add text. I haven't really checked it out too much, Microsoft Designer, but I would imagine there's some animation elements as well. So I'm cycling through, downloading, and then I like the kind of streaks on this one. I always like kind of texture and psychedelic elements. This one's kind of nice too. Maybe I'll use this one.
No, it seems like it's downloading sometimes as PNGs and other times as web images.
Interesting.
I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but easy enough to convert. But
Right. So for me, I'm not too concerned because I'm always going to take my work into Photoshop where I use Topaz Photo AI first to upscale and sharpen, bring out detail, and then Photoshop for the tonal and color correction and color grading, which you will see.
now,
Uh,
how close are you finding that this product, the image creator, is to what you actually prompt? I mean, this looks exactly like what you asked for, with a little bit of
yeah.
extra juice. I think, really, a little bit of magic. Yeah.
Right. So um, I do have a subscription to Leonardo. So if I go over here, so here's like Leonardo. If I go back here, that's the kind of original homepage where the good thing about Leonardo is you can click on an image and therefore you can get their prompt. So that's another
Right.
way of learning prompts. And Rick touched upon that in the last live session we did. There are other sites that do the same thing where you can click and get the prompt and then you can just tweak it to your own kind of theme or topic. But there's some pretty cool ones with textures and different styles. Um,
So, Bing is free for 15 generations, basically every 24 hours. What's the cost here at Leonardo to do?
right. So you get 8,500 tokens resets, every month. And there was a discount that they had during the Black Friday. And I missed Black Friday, but I reached out. I said, "Hey, can I still access your Black Friday deal?" And one of the guys who is part of Leonardo, emailed me back and said, "Sure," and then gave me like the code or whatever. So for a full year of 8,500 tokens, which on the average takes about 26. I've noticed if you start using some of if I go to image generation, you'll notice that there's a bunch of these different kind of
So it's
stylization.
actually using Stable Diffusion, but putting a nice front end on it so you can use it
Right. There's all
well.
different kind of versions of it, tweaked versions and more simple versions.
Do you
And
have a
then
favorite that you use?
I do tend to lean towards this Albedo Base XL, but pretty much the top ones, the Diffusion XL and the Vision XL.
Right.
But I'll jump around just to kind of experiment. But with the 8,500 tokens, I've noticed that it'll tend to what I do, just to let you know in Leonardo, down here in the advanced controls, it has like a 3:2 size. You can change that, the aspect ratio.
Oh, cool.
But what I tend to do is I just go ahead. I don't even go through that. I just pull the slider to the right, and my image will then be from the get go 1536 pixels width and height. And then what happens from that is if I use, these kind of the preferred stylizations,
Mhm.
you only can do one image at a time. And you look over on the right, it says 26. So that takes up about 26 tokens for that.
Oh, so that's not per image, that's a set of tokens, which is
Well, it is kind
based
of per
upon
image though, so it'll
yeah,
be 26 tokens per image
gotcha.
when you choose these. But if I were to jump to like I think Stable Diffusion here, and then no, I thought it changed. I thought like you got like an option to have two images
Mhm.
depending on what you did. But I don't want to get too far into Leonardo. I do like it though. So here's just a preview of some of the images I've created recently. I create a lot of images where a lot of times I don't even post them. So I'll create realistic images, and I love the detail, but I don't feel that it's truly my style. So I a lot of times won't even post. But I think I should probably because I think people might
D Is
appreciate it.
each image or each image creator application have a different look and feel? Have you found some to be better, propped coherent?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with all the options that come with Leonardo.
Yeah,
There's preset sizes, and like I said, there's the different stylizations, and you can just experiment.
and you
Um,
got raw and
yeah, and I think 8,500
contrast.
tokens goes pretty far.
Yeah.
But it does do some funky things. So, like if you look here, he's got like two hands in one hand,
Oh, yeah,
and
and
then
a
he's got
mouse or
two
something.
hands, one large, one small, and then he's got another hand. And even the dragon, as you can see here, is kind of surprised by it all. How many hands do you have? Says the dragon. But in some ways, I kind of enjoy that though. Like for me, I would post this as the art, and people might say, "Oh, that looks like a bunch of mistakes." I'll be like, I kind of like it as it is, though. But not to dwell too much on Leonardo. I did the 4 images in Bing Image Creator, and then I wanted to, and I already have it, but I'm just going to copy it just to show you. I'm going to go to Firefly and see how different their generation is. So I'm already in text to image. So if you go to, firefly.adobe.com, it might look like this. You can either go straight to the top, or you can go over to text to image, which then brings you to this view. And then same type of idea. You have a gallery, so you can view these different samples, and then you can even copy the prompt. And
Yeah,
then
in fact, you just click on it, right? It'll generate that immediately for you.
That's right. And you can also copy the prompt and then tweak it. So I'm just going to paste the same prompt here. I'm going to hit generate. And we've talked about this before, me and Rick, but I wish that you could choose the aspect ratio first, but especially considering that they now are taking, points or tokens. So like if I go over here, I have 986 out of 1,000 still left. So this is still pretty good though. So the version 2 of Firefly has gotten pretty good, and it's a bit more realistic than it was.
And that 1,000 is per month, and that's because you have a Adobe Creative Cloud account, yeah?
Right. So I'm on the all apps plan. So let me go here. So there it is right there. Yeah. So if I zoom in, monthly generative credits, you get 1,000. I've only used 15. I've been jumping into other things. It's also beginning of the month anyways, but
Right.
I'm busy, as you know. And then the thing is, I compare the different styles and then might choose one from the other. And then as Rick showed, I think in the last session, you can choose the visual intensity, which I think adheres more towards your prompt. And then you can upload an image to match the style. So if you had like an image that was very painterly,
I love that feature, yeah.
Yeah, it would do that. And then you can choose from all the different effects, all the different color and tone, lighting. So, this is version 2 of Firefly. It is got a lot of options, and it is always getting better. They're always improving it.
I think the coolest thing about it is, I'm a educator, so I've taken a lot of fine art classes, so I know what the different styles of art are. I'm also a 50-year photographer, so the settings to do depth of field and wide angle and telephoto that you can actually control. I don't know of any other application that gives you that kind of control.
Right.
So
Well,
if you want
that's
to zoom in and change your composition,
right. So that's what I was going to say is I do like the way the images are created, the quality of the images in Bing Image Creator, but you do not get any of these controls. So you do get a lot more controls in Firefly. And then here is your aspect ratio. So you have landscape, portrait, square, and widescreen, which is great for creating, say, the YouTube banners themselves.
Right.
Whereas when you go to Bing, it's like, boom,
That's
hit
it.
your prompt, hit create, or surprise me. That's it. And then even this is a bit frustrating about Bing. And I do love the quality of the images, but over here in the recent section, you'll see on the right side, these are different generations, different prompt ideas I've done, but yet at a certain scroll,
It goes away.
So
So
like,
there's no archiving of your work. I mean, you get it for free, so we got to kind of understand. If you
but
want to do
it's kind of
this,
sad though. It's sad
yeah,
that you lose the.
if you want to do the same thing, so DALL-E is made by OpenAI, which Microsoft has an agreement with of
Yep.
joint custody, basically, of that engine. So within Bing, you're doing it for free. Now, if you want to go to ChatGPT, you generate the exact same way, but you have total control over it. In fact, you can talk to the AI and tell it you want a 16:9, and you can upload pictures and use that as a prompt. That's what I demonstrated last week. So if you really want this, pay the $20 a month, and then you've got ChatGPT, which you can use in your everyday life, and you can make images.
Right.
I find going back and forth because
Rick, let me go over some of these questions though, because I got a lot to go over.
Oh, okay.
So first is, Franz was asking, is this a double exposure? Yes, but it's in the prompt. So the prompt is what created this first. So it's the text prompt that I put to get this exact kind of look. And then Barbara, good to see here, Barbara. She says, do Leonardo AI users have option to hide their prompts? Yes, they do. That's another thing that I believe on the left area, see, it says public images. So you can decide if you're going to show them with the public or you're going to hide them. So I think I'm hiding mine because, I'm just doing
Do you
something.
pay
I go back
extra
and
for
forth.
that?
What is it?
Do you pay extra for that? Mid-Journey, if you're doing private, you got to pay a lot more.
No, I just think you could turn it on and turn it off.
That's cool.
And then Chris asks, will this be available to watch later? Yes, this is recording now. And
Yeah, catch
will
last
be
week's
available.
too. It was pretty good. And Suzanne's saying Gen credits don't go into effect until January 17th. So that's great to know. Also,
wait a second though. So Suzanne said that, but yet if I go to Firefly, you do see though that the credits are here. So, but I don't think it's changing much. So let me just, Rick, you want to give me a little spin on this? What other element could I add to this at the end?
Let's change it into a woman instead of just human.
Okay, let's see. So let me woman
humanity
profile.
and nature.
Woman's profile. Oh, that should be good. I hit generate. Yeah. So originally it was, I think, 985.
Okay,
doing its thing.
Well, is this correct? Do I understand that if you run out of credits, it actually just slows down the process of generating? It doesn't stop you from generating?
Right. So first is, it says I now have 984 instead of 985.
Okay.
The good news is you do get 4 images for that generation.
Yeah.
But the bad news is instead of it starting January 17th, it's only January 5th, and it looks like it's already started. So they've already started kind of whittling down your credits.
I think they're trying to set expectations so we don't get crazy, because we had a free for all for a very long time, and it was nice, but that costs money to generate these images. I mean, each one is
yeah, they get stored on their servers, etc. But it does replenish every month, and as Rick said, if you were to run out of all those credits, it's not like they stop you from creating images. I just think it slows down how fast the generation is.
And that's the same with Bing too. It slows down tremendously until like a half hour later, you're waiting for a picture to pop up. So that 15 a day, I go through real quickly.
Yeah, so there's similar ways that they do things.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's jump on in. So there is, the images. And then if I go over to Photoshop, I just do a Command O for open, and I go to desktop. You'll see in the top 4 is the 4 different images. And I think I liked this one. No, I think I like this one. I like the textures, but also the kind of the depth of the forest that's in the double exposure. So just say open. And so this is how I work. So first is I'll just hit the F key. I don't like to see distracting backgrounds. I like a medium gray, neutral gray, so I can see color better. Once again, the image, if I go to image size, the default image for this is 1024 by 1024 at 96 pixels per inch. And so in general, I tend to like to post at 2048 by 2048. And then if people reach out to me and they say they want to buy the digital file, then I would make it even larger. And I don't really focus on like changing the resolution from 96 to say 300 pixels per inch for print. I just focus on a larger amount of pixels for the width and the height.
That's interesting, Andrew, because a scientist friend of mine actually did a test of all social media, and 2048, and by 2048 is exactly what you should be using, because there's downsampling on Facebook and Instagram and the rest, but that's the one that gives you optimum quality as well.
Right. So as you can see here, this is my actions panel.
Nice.
Little color actions panel.
Yeah.
Which I've kind of tweaked, for years, and then I've gotten rid of a bunch and kind of simplified it so it's really focused on the things that I do, retouching and photo montage and that type of stuff. So what you'll see at the top is duplicate. So I have on the right it says F13, so I can make a quick duplicate of anything that I make, which I'll show you
Good to
later.
go.
And then the second one is Topaz Photo AI, which is one of the plugins. So all I do is I just quickly open up my actions. I click on Topaz Photo AI. You'll see that it makes a TPAI layer. So it makes a layer automatically, which I love. So I don't even have to choose that or anything. And then we get this preview. So when we get this preview, let me make it just a little bit larger.
For those people not familiar with the actions, it's basically a little macro that runs you through a couple of steps that you could go pick the menu and you could do these things, but this is doing automated for you. Yeah.
Sure. And so from the get-go, you'll see that it does its kind of like auto corrections. And sometimes I always like to see what it does, but I think it's a little too much. And there's also a way that you can select the subject automatically just by hovering over there, clicking, which is nice. But they usually upscale it a little too much. But I just want to show you right from the get-go. If you look on the left, you'll see that, this general area is kind of mushy. And then on the right, you see it's more like brush lines. You'll see already that's kind of clearer. So what I do is I go over to upscale, and then you can see that there's this 3.38 upscale. Then there's 2 times, 4 times max. I always just go to the number. I type in 2048. I click in the height, and it does it for both. And then I then go down to the AI model. And for me, it defaults to graphics because that's what I'm focusing on most of the time. I do also generate AI images that are photo kind of focused, but majority are, for me, more creative, more surreal like this. So I have it set to graphics. Then underneath that, there is a minor denoise, minor deblur. But before I jump into that, though, the AI model, standard for medium quality images, old cameras and smartphones, high fidelity for high quality images from modern cameras, smartphones, graphics for art and computer generated images, most of the AI work I do, and low resolution if you have a low quality or compressed image that you want to work on, resize. So what happens here is there's denoise and deblur underneath that. And then if you move the slider, you'll see there's like a line, which I believe is their suggestion of where they think you should take it to. My thing that I've learned doing this is I want the detail to be as kind of sharp as possible. And I like the noise that's in an image or the texture. So I will sometimes bring the denoise down. And then for the deblur, that's what gets rid of kind of the blurry, kind of mushy areas, so that I might take beyond the line that they suggest. But I kind of keep it in the 25, 26 range. Now, if you did want to get rid of noise, there's the remove noise. And then I usually go to sharpen. Now, one thing that is a little frustrating is it always tends to sharpen the subject only, but I always like the texture in the background. So I just always have to quickly turn off subject only. And then you click on the down arrow. So just like any other app, you have to kind of look for icons that are suggesting more features. So with the down arrow, I click, and then I can see that that's where the kind of settings come up. And so there's standard, lens blur, strong, motion blur. So I might even just keep it to standard and then just work on the strength, make it 27. And then once again, I don't want it to get rid of the noise, so I might bring the minor denoise down. Now I've learned that if it does detect a face, let's see if it I don't know why it's not detecting that. It's pretty clear, a silhouette of a face. But I don't really like this. So when it does the face detection, it tends to over blur it or kind of auto retouch it.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of that.
I guess you could tweak it like the other tools, though. You could pull it back a little bit in certain areas.
That's correct. Yeah. If it was taking and it worked, then I'd be able to move the sliders just like I do with the other sections. And then you do see that if you had text, it would preserve the text. And then now in the beta versions, there's adjust lighting and balance color, which I don't really use because I like to have more hands-on in Photoshop with camera raw. But already, if I hover over on the right side, which is the kind of what the finished image will be, if I also click, I get a before and after. So if I click on it, you can see it's pretty, well, maybe zoom in a bit. So I'll zoom in a little bit.
Can you go?
So if I click on it, you'll see that it's very blurred. And then when I let go, you'll see that it's now sharp lines.
Right.
So that's, after zooming in. And then all I do is I say save to Adobe Photoshop at the bottom right. And then that pops up.
Yeah.
It's already in its own layer, so I can go before and after. So if I zoom in a little bit here, once again, this is before, and it's very mushy. So in general, I have to admit, I'm very happy with the visualization, the concept of Bing or Dolly through Bing, but the quality of the images from the get-go are always a little too mushy. I just don't understand why they really need to add more elements like sliders where you can choose sharpness as you're creating the image. But that's why I use Topaz Photo AI. And so that brings it back. So it goes from mush to good contrast and good detail.
So we do have some of this capability in Photoshop, and it does a pretty good job. But what is this AI Topaz application doing that's different?
Okay, so if you're in Photoshop, and I'm going to show you some of the other ways I treat the image, tonal correction and color grading.
Yeah.
The thing is, what happens is it Topaz Photo AI reads your image, and then it goes back in and it realizes areas that are kind of blurry or soft, and it makes them sharp. And
Right.
so if you were just to add sharpening in Photoshop, it would not be bringing back like detail. Like these are bringing back like lines, like detail. Whereas if you've studied sharpening in any of the apps, you
Right.
can't technically sharpen an image. What happens is sharpening is just it's bumping up the contrast between where a light and a dark pixel meet, and that
Exactly.
gives you the suggestion of sharpening.
Yep.
The way that Topaz works is I do think it changes the quality of the lines themselves. So they go from kind of being soft and blurry to being like a true line. Now, at the same time, just to let you know, when I work on an image, I sometimes will do this, and I'll do this usually after I do the thing I'm about to do, which is camera raw. But I will add a layer mask, and then setting the black as my foreground color, choosing a brush, B for brush. I already have a large brush. I have the opacity set to 100, and I'll move the flow down to like 33 or something. I'll turn off that top layer, and I'll see, well, what areas might I want it to still be a bit subdued or a little bit blurred. So I might like the clouds here being a little bit softer, or some parts of the trees. So maybe there's highlights. Now, if I hit the left bracket on my brush, it makes it smaller. Black is my foreground color. So then when I paint on the layer mask, it's selected with the frame, I'll be making it softer in particular areas. So if I think it's too strong in certain areas, I go back in and I kind of subdue those areas. I'm not going to do that today because it's limited time, but I do like to have that option because I also believe that it will make your eye go to where I want the viewer to look.
So we got a question: If is Topaz built into Photoshop? It's an extra program, right?
Right. So Topaz is Topaz Photo AI is something I bought. I think I got it for $200. And I think it was even on sale, and it was $200. But I do think it's worth every penny, especially if you are bringing out detail for larger images. So once again, this is now 2048 as opposed to the original was a 1024. And if I was going to send this to someone for print, I would probably make it even larger, like 3,800 by 3,800 or something.
Yeah, I've done 300 megabyte files, and I printed on canvas at 3 foot by 4 foot. Perfect. Absolutely
Yeah,
photographically real.
it's good quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the first step I'll do, and then what I'll do before I jump into camera raw, because you should always be professionally paranoid, is I will save it. So I'll save it, and then I might even put it in I have a whole section for PSDs.
Well, it's a real good thing you're doing that I don't do, and that's you're actually creating a duplicate layer with your action before you go into Topaz, so you can go
Oh
back
no,
and compare.
Topaz creates that.
Oh,
So
it does. Okay.
yeah, see how it says TPAI?
Gotcha.
Topaz created that. Okay, Rick, why don't you give me a name for this image? What do you think? Let me move it out of the way so you can see it.
Swirling nature.
Swirling nature. Okay. And this goes into, so I have a Photoshop PSDs 2024.
I was going to ask, how the heck do you organize all these things? Because I got 100,000 images. I don't know what to do with anymore.
Right. So the way I work, like if I open this up, expand, you'll see the contextual menu. It goes into a 2024 folder, which is on my art and photos main folder inside my art photos docs external. So I
Okay.
store everything on an external drives. Obviously AI art images, a lot of them are lower res, so it doesn't take up that much, but
Mhm.
we're pumping out hundreds to thousands of images. I
Yeah.
like to keep it nicely organized on an external. So that's that. And then I also have, like, if I click on this, there's my AI art for 2024, where I have all my saved versions. And this is what I'm going to get to, is I usually save the 2048 version, and then I also scale down to a 1080 version.
Okay.
So that's for like Behance. Instagram, I do tend to still post 2048, but for my website, I do 1080, and for Behance, I do 1080.
Okay.
So swirling nature, I go back to the PSDs. It's set to Photoshop, and I will have the embedded color profile of sRGB, because most of these images I will be posting to the web, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So I just hit save. It's now saved as the layered Photoshop file. Okay, so then the next thing I do, so first is kind of bring out the contrast and the sharpness, or the detail, I would say, more than sharpness. And then I go to filter, and I go to camera raw filter. So when this comes up, it's got its own panel, its own kind of sub app inside Photoshop. And they've changed some of the panels around, but you can go here and you can, where is it?
Previous settings. Yeah. Or,
Well, there was a way that you can change them around. So I can't remember how I got to it.
I've gotten used to it after a little bit of time. It took me a minute. The color, light, and effects are separate, detail, and then curve, and the rest. But it's a logical process if and they're in the process of redesigning all the apps, by the way. They're going to be much, much simpler in look and feel, and have fewer little bells and whistles that you have to go find. So learning all the apps is going to be much easier, because the design is in process right now. You'll see that over the next 6 months or so.
But yeah, there was a way that I could move these panels around, but it's all right. So, but they've changed some of the naming conventions, but they have the same functions. So color, if you expand that, first is if I felt like there was a color cast to it, I could simply choose white balance and click on kind of a medium neutral gray, and it would bring it back for me. In this case, I think it's fine. It's also artwork more than a photo. So I will decide if I want it to be more cool. So I'll move it to the left and add more blue, or do I want it to be more warm and move it to the right? But in this case, I might tend to move it a little bit to the left for cooler, for more blue. And then tint, I don't really mess with too much, because that would change the whole kind of spectrum of color in it. But vibrance will take the areas of color that are kind of lacking vibrance or saturation, and I'll move that a little bit to the right. And then I might even do a tweak for saturation for overall, but vibrance brings out colors that are kind of subdued. And then I'll go to light, and I'll tweak exposure. And I don't want to go too far. Like if I go too far, say here's like 1, or even go down to like 75, it blows out the highlights and areas. So, and if you go too far, you just click on the tab and it goes back to 0. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of pull it a little bit, like 35 to 40, and then contrasts usually in the 18 to 20 range. If there were highlights that I felt were blown out, I would move that to the left and kind of see how it brings back detail. Here it's kind of like just kind of a white haze around the silhouette. But if I move the highlight negative a bit, it brings back detail. So it's up to me if I want that or not. So maybe a little bit, bring that back. And then there's shadows, whites and blacks. What I'll do is I will move the whites to the right to kind of give a bit more oomph to the highlights. And then under effects, you could do texture for a bit of sharpening, clarity, dehaze if there's some areas that you wanted. So if I move dehaze, yeah, the problem with dehaze is It'll make areas a bit sharper, but it'll kind of also,
It crushes the contrast. Yeah.
yeah, crushes the contrast, makes it dense, you know.
Yeah, I have a tendency to pull back the highlights, push up the shadow, and then add a little dehaze. Or if I want a smooth skin, I'll add a little dehaze just to localized areas.
Right. So then I'll go to detail and I'll move the sharpening to like say 40. I hold down the option key for masking and you get this preview. So as it stands now, everything that's white, which is everything, is sharpened. And then holding the option key as I move the slider to the right, everything that is white will be sharpened and anything that's black is being protected. So it's reading your image and deciding like what has more detail, more texture, and that will be sharpened. And then things that are softer will be protected. So if you had a portrait of like a baby's, you know, big cheeks that are soft, that would be black. And then the detail, like the
Right.
eyebrows and the background might be more. So I'll do that. And then,
So these are the exact same features you have in Lightroom, right? So they're kind of interoperable.
right. So it's the same processing engine. And if I hit OK, then, you know, so you'll see before and after. So it's not only sharper, but it's also more contrast, more vibrant, more saturation.
Yeah.
Make sure to do Command S to save. And then there's two different ways that I will do color grading, and then I'll switch it over to let Rick do his side of the sales focus. Um, what happens is, you know, creative, well, Camera Raw, I should say, Camera Raw has its own kind of color grading, but I'm a big fan of the Infinite Color Suite. So here's the Infinite Color Suite plugin that you buy separately, easy to install into Photoshop, and I believe it also you can install it into Lightroom. It's a very simple interface, though it has curves, color balance, selective color, gradient map, and color lookup all intermingled, and it creates like a folder for you. So all you do is you go to the intensity. I tend to move it just midway to the right, and then I just hit this big create button, and then it gives me a different color variation. So now it's more blue. If I
Mm.
don't like that, I just hit create again, purplish blue, green, a kind of magenta or maybe a yellowish magenta with a navy blue, and then, you know, a green duotone type of look.
Oh, wow.
So I just kind of will click through, and there's purple. But the way that I work is I might just kind of cycle through until, you know, I'm looking for a certain mood that it creates.
Is this an add-on to Photoshop? Is it free or?
No, no. So as I said just before, it's a plugin that you purchase, and then
Okay.
it's easy to install into Photoshop. So something like this, you know, I like that kind of color. It's, you know,
Mm.
different, but I don't like it taking over the whole image. So what I'll do is I'll look at my image
Oh, I see.
and
Okay.
I will decide if I want to
Dial it
make
back
it,
or
well, I decide if I want it to be just in certain areas or
mm.
if I want to dial it back. So if I wanted to just dial it back, you're in the infinite color folder here, turn it on, turn it off. I could just go to opacity and pull it back, and then it kind of mingles. But I
Mm.
like to have more control. So
Yeah.
what I'll do is I will either add a layer mask like that and then the brush out areas, or way I like to prefer to do it if I'm just going to say I'm just going to make the right textured area take on this color, but leave the rest of it. I will do a holding down the option key and then hitting the layer mask icon. You'll see that black fills the whole thing. So it's now, it looks like I don't have any infinite color grading on it. So all I do is I hit the X key, white becomes my foreground color, B for brush,
Sweet.
right bracket key to make it a little bit larger, double check what my flow is. It's at 33. Maybe I'll make it 30, maybe 40, 41, 40. And then I just go over and I say, I want that color just in
Oh,
this area.
sweet.
And I
Yeah.
can also let some of the original colors stay and just kind of massage it like what,
So it's got a localized color control.
yeah. So I'm creating the localized color control by brushing in on the layer mask.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. And I might keep some of the original blue, but then, you know, build it up here where it's darker. It has more kind of a reddish yellow look to it. Kind of at the top, maybe a little bit of this here. And
So if you went to school for color theory, you get all this stuff and then educated level, but if intuitively you're just doing this, Andrew, do you have a master's degree in any of this stuff or have any?
Well, I went to fine arts college.
Mm.
First SUNY Purchase. I was a printmaking major. Then I went to the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston and
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts College of Art,
So yeah,
where I could take classes at
you
both.
got some education. Yeah.
Yeah, so I studied art history, color theory, all that. And I was a big fan of art history. I liked studying a lot of different artist style too.
Well, it shows in the kind of work that you're doing recently.
Cool.
It's really got not just an homage, but you're creating something brand new. And I think that's what creativity is about, right? Is exploring
Yeah,
what your story is to say, your song. You got to figure out what kind of music you like, right? So I tell
absolutely.
my students that, do a mood board on yourself and figure out, well, music do you listen to? What kind of books do you read? What kind of TV shows do you watch? And yeah, then you can kind of figure it out. Another way to go about this is you could use smart objects to create different multiple versions of it and then blend them together.
This guy's stealing my idea.
Gotcha.
All right, so yeah, here's one thing I might do too is so that is using infinite color, and then obviously make sure you do Command S to save. And I don't want to like steal all the time away from this presentation. I want Rick to do his thing.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna be quick.
I'll do it real quick one, but I'll just go to the original Topaz Photo AI layer, do a Command J, makes a copy, and then what I will do is I will either right click and say convert to smart object, and then
Okay.
I'll go up to filter, camera raw,
Yeah.
and then what I can do here is I can convert it to black and white.
Ooh.
And then once you convert to black and white, you go down to the, now if you were in color, it would be called the color mixer. It converts
Right.
to black and white mixer.
Ooh,
So
this
it's
is cool.
still, yeah, so it's still reading color.
Right.
So it sees red, orange, yellows, greens. And my favorite way to work is I can't remember all the different colors of where the original was, right?
Right.
But I want to work on the contrast of this. So all I do is I go to the target adjustment tool. So it's a target
Ah.
adjustment tool. It brings up this weird icon, and then you can see it reads the color. So it's reading the color, floating like a ghost. Very weird. But I might go to this area and say, okay, well, this area I want. Do you have control of my computer, Rick? What's going on here?
Nope.
It's like doing its own thing. You sure you don't have control of my computer? All
I'm
right.
not touching it. Swear.
Okay, so I'll go here, I'll click, and then I'll pull it to the right. This is freaky. It's like I swear if someone else
I
has
had that
control of it.
happen the other day. Yeah, similar to that.
Right. So then
Christina does very nice artwork, Andrew.
right. So then I can change the contrast of that particular area.
Yeah.
Then what I do is that's just for that.
Huh.
There really is a ghost in the machine here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough now. Go away.
You got 2 mice there going on? I
Yeah.
did that one time. I had a corded mouse and a regular mouse, and
Maybe
they
someone from like Apple has still got control of my computer. All right, so then I'll go down to color grading, and this is one thing I'm a big fan of. So, if you don't have infinite color panel like I have, you do get the color grading section in Camera Raw, and so you have midtones, shadows, highlights, and you can also click here to get like larger direct versions, which is the way I like to work. So I'll say highlights. So I might say, okay, maybe a blue, but that's obviously too strong, but I do like the color. All I do is go over to the color circle here, click on the circle, and I go towards the middle to decrease the amount of blue. And then I might say, okay, well then shadows is the dark areas. Maybe I'll do like a purplish blue. And that I kind of like in the dark zone. I don't want to bring that too light because then you're missing out on the contrast that it creates. So do that. And then I'll just hit it okay. Brings me back into Photoshop, and it already has a smart filter built-in layer mask.
okay.
So I can
There
click
you go.
on that, and with the brush, I could say, you know what? Maybe I want to bring some of the original. Okay. Now just be aware of your brush. Mine's hardness set to 0. I want it to be 100, so it's softer. And then I want the smoothing up top to be lower. So I'm bringing that down to like 26. Still has like a weird hard edge. Oh, I'm in the pencil. So yeah, sometimes it switches if you hit B a couple times.
Yeah.
So Command Z, I go to the pencil, right click, and I make sure I'm back in brush.
There you
And
go.
then now when I click, it's softer and I can just do
Ooh, sweet.
specific areas. There's a blue there. And I'm just showing that, if you don't have the infinite color plugin, you can do some pretty nice creative elements, color grading with camera raw filter, underneath filter in Photoshop. So I don't want to steal all the time here. So let me get back into the room and let Rick do his thing. But hope that helped you. That's how I create, different from other people. Some people probably just create and then download. Maybe they do have a sharpener or upscaler in the app that they're using. This is what I like to use. This is what I've been doing for a while now. And
Yeah, Andrew, I think it brings up a really good point. I mean, now it's what I call signature worthy, right? I think some of us feel like sort of frauds because it's like too easy to make this. You just put some words, you copy from somebody else. But to me, it's like take responsibility. You're going to be an artist. You know what you should do is start to think of, well, how can I make it mine? And you have shown us, even with a very simple prompt to start with, that then you decide. And so it's the choice. As a photographer, you're always about what you point your camera at, what you decide to frame and leave in and leave out is a choice. Your color palette, maybe you set up lights. The more control you have on it, the more ownership you have on it. So
right.
I'm going to talk about selling stuff. And if you're going to sell your artwork, you got to feel proud about it, right? Now,
Right.
there's
So one
art.
last thing
Yeah,
before I hand it over to you, and I'm sorry that I've taken so much time, but
no worries.
um, yeah, he touched upon it very well. The feeling that I get is most people can find prompts and they can go and they can generate an image and then boom, they can post it. For me, the whole art form and the reason why when I post, I'll say digital art by Andrew Kavanagh and take some ownership of it is because I do take time. I take time to go in and I
Yes.
sharpen it and then I play with layer masks for focus and I play with the color grading and sometimes I bring in other elements. Sometimes I'll knock out a background, put a totally different background in, or take out a subject and put it in a totally different other image. So it's the building of the image for me that makes it my own, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now it's Rick's turn. Sorry for taking so
Yeah.
much time, but
No, I think I'm going to take what you're even saying there and take it to more profound level. I believe that art is an act of love.
okay.
And love is about how much devotion of your time and life's energy are you going to devote to another human being or to something that you do in the craft and the way you do things. So loving something raises you up to a sense of magic, right? So not everybody is, a singer, a Celine Dion or for whatever, right? But all of us love to do it. So all of us should make art for the fun of it, right? If it feeds our soul, it makes us feel good about what we're doing. We're storytellers and we're craft makers. So I think that you've demonstrated just perfectly. You create art that nobody else does it just like that.
Right.
And if we're just playing in a and we want to make pictures of Superman having coffee with Batman or something, then have fun.
Right.
It's entertainment, right? If
So
you
when
want to sell this, which is what I'm going to talk about next, start think about what you think is signature worthy. And my strategy an image maker is that I'm going to have stuff that I put on a coffee mug and I'm going to sell T-shirts because why? It's going to fund all my expensive toys so I can go do my artwork, my love, my passion, what I really believe in as a human being is important to express, right?
cool.
Then I have a control of my soul. So I've started to tell my students when I critique their work, I say, hey, let's start off talking about what you're doing, the craft of what you're doing, who you're doing it for. Let's think about all those things that designers have to do because it's an act of commerce, right? Doing design for someone. And then take it to the art level by saying, at what point is it becoming signature worthy? Meaning that you put in enough hours and times and effort to be able to elevate it to something really extraordinary. And I think that's the whole thing about this. People, looked at photography. Think about it. Like people say, oh, it's just a prompt. It's too easy. The same thing about photography. You know what it takes? This little finger going like this. That's even less time than coming up with a sentence, right?
Right. So when I add all those elements to it, sharpen it and
Yeah.
contrast and color grade, I feel like I'm making it my own in ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I had done that, I would call it signature worthy. I'd put my name on that puppy and send it on its way. So
So shall I share your screen, Rick? I want
Yeah,
to.
please. If you could go full screen, I think it'll might
There we
get us
go.
there. So this presentation is going to be captured for you. It's already going to be in a PDF that we'll put a link to in just a second in the thing as we go through it. So you can download this. In addition to the content you're going to see here, there's also notes that I've had with ChatGPT about how to sell your artwork. So this is the thing, right? Is we don't want to die and not have anybody know our work. We want to get our publicity out there. So we do our social media thing, and then we start to create artworks, and we got to be able to fund these artworks, right? We've got to be able to say, so this is just some of the books that I've done for my classroom. I published over 38 books, self-published. These are 10 books that I actually created for each one of my graphic design classes. It's designed by myself mostly, but with the assistance of my students who learned how to make the books. So instead of spending $100 per class, we get to do that. And they spend nothing. In fact, these are PDFs that are resident on our hard drives for all the students to have access to, including the Apple book, which maybe another day we'll talk about those things. And then my travel books. This is a book I'm doing about create and critique, where we talk about how to make better pictures. And then graphic design books, I've done a little side book study guide. And I did, when Midjourney started out, I spent the 6 months of Midjourney a year and 6 months ago. So back in, what was it, August, I guess, of last year is when I first got started, and I got bitten with just like this incredible thing. Within 6 months, I produced this, and version 4 had just come out. And then at the moment I published this book, which included a section on coloring books, which we're going to talk about today, and all kinds of artwork for different purposes, a children's book I'm still working on for graphic design, I started thinking, what are the applications for this artwork? For architecture. So my architecture professors at Broward College are doing that right now too, right? And that's me with my Mac Plus being crazy, just like I feel like right now with AI. I'm just so energized that I just want to make images. I made 85,000 images so far, and the actual time in Midjourney I spent is well over 2,500 hours so far. So literally, that's all I've been doing with my life. And let's take a look
The
at.
Matrix has you.
Yeah, it does totally, which is kind of cool, right? So I want to make sure you understand what is changing about AI and copyright law. In the past, you created some artwork and you sent it to the Copyright Office. Why? Because it puts it on file with a government agency that's going to protect it until the moment that you say, hey, that idiot stole my work, put it on a t-shirt and sold it. Then I can go after that person, right? Well, a couple of things have changed in that scenario. Now, if you do not copyright it, the act of creating a piece of artwork and putting it in a form and sharing it on social media is considered publishing. And you could, in the past, use that to get a copyright. However, a recent, in fact, this woman that created this, Chris Castanova, is actually working for Adobe now and working on some of these issues, as well as being just an amazing evangelist for Adobe. If you get a chance to see her and hear her talk, it's great to do. So she made this image you see on the left here of Zariah of the Dawn. The image was sent to the Copyright Office. They first gave her full permission to use that image and copyright it. And then when they found out how it was generated just from a prompt in Midjourney, they reclined and they went back on that idea. So here's what the new law says. So then she took that image and she made a fanzine book kind of thing here, as you can see, with multiple image and a lot of other stuff. So here's what the law is currently. Copyright has never been stretched so far as to protect works generated by new forms of technology operating absent of any guided human hand. This is the point. Human authorship is everything about copyright. What are you doing? You're saying, I spent so much time that it was signature worthy for me as an artist that I want to protect that. So when no one else can perform it, no one else can duplicate it without my express permission. That's what copyright law is. It protects great ideas. There's certain ways in critiquing that, in social criticism, there's fair use laws, education. I can show these artworks by famous people that are still living, that still have the copyright to those things, but I can't generate income from it. So that's where the responsibility comes out. So when I'm talking about the images coming up, just realize if you just made something fresh out of Midjourney, it's not copyrightable. And everything that you have in the public domain, your prompts that you put out there, someone could copy and paste it, or actually take your actual generated images you put on social media, upscale it, and then move on and make money off of yours. And you have no recourse whatsoever, unless you do like Andrew just did. You go through an entire process, you make it something that's human made. That human authorship is the bedrock of copyright going forward. So think of that. Now, you want to put it on social media, and you do want to share. You want to be nice, as we're all in this giant playground playing together. But when you go to make money, just keep this in mind as a guiding light for you. So how do you make money? There's 5 basic ways I'm going to talk about today, and this is all going to be available for you. Website stock images, so Adobe stock, Wire stock, we're going to talk about, and a bunch of other ones. So for making web graphics and that kind of stuff, still people are buying these. They're called penny stock these days. There's no management of it like it used to be back in the 80s. I used to make 10 or 15 grand every year just from the slides that had to be duplicated and send off, etc. These days, the digital currency is not worth what it used to be. So you might make 50, 60 bucks. Last year with Adobe Stock, I made $60. So I'll show you some ways to make more money off of this. Books of different kinds. I'm going to show you blurb and interactive books. Coloring books are fantastic on Amazon. You can make a killing off of that. Comic books, children's books, etc. Merchandising. So put it on a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a water bottle. Print on demand services are what this is about. Fine art, home decor, a throw pillow, limited canvas prints. And then the last one is digital media. So 3D assets and environments and VR assets are starting to become a thing. So let's start with Wirestock. So this is a brand new, this is my Wirestock portfolio here. And I've got a couple of hundred images. You can see I'm making Zippo, and it's been up there for a while. I've got a gallery with 157 images, and they actually go through and they follow through and give you a lot of tools, including some AI tools. So here's some tips that you should think about doing. You do receive 85% of the sales, and they submit to over 8 different stock agencies for you, and they include all of the keywording and everything else for you as well. So let's take a look at wirestock.com here. We go. And so you'll see what my interface looks like. This is one that I just did yesterday. You have built into some really cool things. You've got some AI tools, which allows you to make images generated right here. In fact, you can upload an image, and this is what I did yesterday. I actually created a prompt, and then I generated these images. So it's got that built in. If you pay for the membership, you get multiple amounts of image upgrades. You also have themes that you can actually sell your prompts and your themes to other people. You can see some of them down here, and stylistic options, which is very much like Firefly. The quality is pretty much like Bing, as you would imagine. And your prompt capability, you can upload an image, and I did for this, took an image that I created in Bing, and then I uploaded it here to use as guidance. And it actually got my name on the shirt, which I thought was pretty cool. You can also then take an image, and you can up resolution the image. You can change the face, so I can swap the face out. So I ended up taking this face that it created for me of a 60-year-old professor, and then I swapped it out with my face, and that's now on my Facebook page. Cool. So it's kind of cool. And then I can download this picture, or it's already been upscaled, so you can see the resolution is a lot better. So that's kind of a cool thing about Wirestock. What else do they have? They've got a dashboard where you can take a look at what you've sold and what kind of money you've made, the payment history, which images have made what kind of money. So a very detailed experience. You can explore what are the top selling images. You might be surprised at what sells out there. It's sort of interesting to me as to what becomes the same image, the best images. You can also create themes, just like you can in Midjourney, where they have themes. So polygonal art, you can view what that looks like, and you can buy and sell these, and then you can use them to influence the style of artwork that you do. Now, pricing, the basic thing for a year's membership, which is the best way to go, it'll tell you what the price is per month. And I've got currently the 15 bucks a month, and I'm saving 25 bucks a year. So what is that? 300 bucks? No, that's not right.
Saying 25% a year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you go with just the premium, so you can see you've got a bunch of AI, 1,000 generated AI images per month. You also get 200 monthly marketplace challenge submissions. So there's a challenge competition thing that they've got going on as
Mm.
well. And the challenges are like this: you can actually make money. So it tells you what the challenge is, and you have a certain amount of time to create those
That's
challenges.
fun. Yeah,
Cool.
fun.
Yeah. So you can do these AI tools right here, face swapping, upscaling. It does it within this. And probably the coolest thing is when you go to upload an image, you put it in there, you tell it where it came from. So some of these came from Midjourney. This came from Wirestock. Here's the companies that they allow you to upload pictures from. You just tell it that, and then it generates from your prompt or from automatically their AI takes a look at the pictures. So this is a whale in a children's room kind of setting, whatever. So it looks at these images and it keywords it for you, and
Right.
then it delivers it to 8 different, including Adobe's own stock. So you don't have to worry about keywording. Adobe stock doesn't have an automated system for doing that, and you could submit 200 pictures per month and start generating income for yourself.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Let's go back over,
Nice to have so many options in one site like that.
right? So that's wire stock. So let's take a look at, we kind of already talked about those. There's the image generating application, and here's the costs, and there's the themes that you can also sell the themes, and you can mix images together. That's kind of cool. All right, so Blurb. Blurb is for book publishing, and here are some of the things. You get 100% of the profits. Okay, so each book is going to cost a different amount. They have many different styles of books. You can see you can use their own software called Bookright and completely design everything right there. You can use the plugin for free that downloads into InDesign. So if you're a graphic designer, you know InDesign, you can design the book and export right to their application. Also, Lightroom. So you photographers out there, Lightroom has built-in Blurb connection. Literally, I've been on a plane back from a scuba diving trip. I've designed a book. I hit the ground, I hit publish, and the book is there within a week on my front doorstep, one at a time or 1,000 or whatever you want to do. You can also use a Blurb on the iPhone. So they have an application built for the phone. So you can sit there and make a children's memory book, while you're, waiting on a doctor's appointment or something, right? It also does photo books, trade books, magazines, PDFs, and wall art. So all of these printing ways and the types of books, you can see here's the sizes,
So Rick,
hardback and paperback. Yeah.
I was say that's really good to know because I think a lot of people think of Blurb as the company that's interconnected to Lightroom, where you can send a book to, but they didn't. I had no idea that you could do magazines, PDFs, wall art.
Oh yeah, big time. And here's just to give you an idea for a 100-page book, this is what it would cost. It's kind of, expensive. And you have different types of paper. There's 8 different types of paper you can send away for a kit. So you can kind of think about it. Hardcover, a different soft cover, etc.
Can I
So
ask a
here's
question about
yeah,
the?
sure.
If you go back to that slide with the book prices,
Okay.
yeah. So that's the price, but if you go to the right and you were to add like 5 or 10, would it calculate and give you some type of a discount, or would it just take that
Yeah, the
amount?
number of pages, the number of copies of the book that you get, like quantity one, it's expensive, right? So my Mid-Journey book that I showed you earlier, that was 258 pages. It cost me 138 bucks to get it. Now here's a tip for you. Go out and get an account, set up an account, and you're going to get once a week 20% off, 30% off. When holidays are coming up, you'll get 50, 60% off. So that means that $120 book becomes a $60 book and you can get one off. Now, what's cool is you can get for free an ISBN number. If you're not familiar with this, this is how it goes into Amazon. So I'm actually have my books available. If you type in Rick McCawley, you'll see some of my old books are available printed by Blurb, put through Amazon, and I get the profit generated off of that. It ain't much, 5, 10 bucks per book, but it's a lot better than you can get with any traditional publishing system. So if you got a children's book you want to do, you could also create a Kickstarter where you go and you get money to support your children's book idea on Kickstarter, the application. They then wait, and when you're done, you have a print run that you've already specified with Blurb what it's going to cost you. You've generated the money. So when you get done raising your $100,000 to print 10,000 copies of the book, then you basically, it takes care of fulfillment, sends it to all the people that just bought your book on Kickstarter, and then you're getting like $10, $15, $20 per book. And if you got 1,000 copies, that's some real money. You become your own publishing house, which is really extraordinary, and let them take care of the details of getting it done. So here's mine, and you can see the different books and the way they were created. I'm doing 38 books so far. And then you can promote them here. They have their own, you can sell the books right within Blurb itself. They have a bookstore. They have the top books as far as the ones making money. You can create a magazine that comes out every month and have it delivered to all of your clients. Let me back up one click here, and I'm going to go to the Blurb site just to give you an idea. It's super friendly website. You can see that you can self-publish through Amazon, through Instagram, Ingram Micro, large order services, and API printing. So there's tons of ways to do this. The pricing is set here, and you can go through the calculator to get it to calculate the price for you. So if I'm doing a magazine, then I choose that, and I come down here, and I want it to be 70 pages, and I just want to do one. Multiples of 4, because it's got to be 4 up. It prints on the back in front of a piece of paper. That's something you'll learn. So it'd be $16 to create one. But what if I created 100? And what if I set it up to get, I save 20%. Okay, so now I could actually sell this book and make some money off of it. If I sold it for $20, I'm making 7 and some change, right? Or 6 and some change.
And Rick, can you take a question?
Yeah.
Barbara asks, can't you also publish the same book through Amazon after you've set up limited editions of the book on Blurb?
Yes, you can. In fact, that's one of the self-publishing ways is Amazon's got a connection directly. So literally it's print on demand, which means that you set up a store on Amazon and then you can sell your book. It gives you a free ISBN number, which is what's required for Amazon to sell your book. Also, Ingram Micro can do that. So literally you can sell your book. You could list the price of what it's going to be cost, the fees. Obviously, a book is going to cost, for that 100-page magazine, for example, the actual printing cost is probably $10 to them. They add on $3. Amazon's going to add on to it. So now you got a $25 book that cost are $18. So you're making $7 off of each magazine. So that might be worthwhile if you got some content people really want. So the larger, the more that you do, the more you can do. But even Harry Potter, she was making $3 or $4 a book, and she's one of the richest women in America, in the world today, right? So Kickstarter campaign is all there. It's all outlined for you. Their resource, you can actually become a blurberati, which means you're a person who's designed many of these books already, and so people hire you to design books for them. Some of my students have been working for travel agencies and for cruise lines. So one of them created a whole cruise line series and got to travel to all the ports this cruise line went to for free in order to design the books that were then given to the passengers in the deluxe suites. They get a book from the Bahamas or whatever, full of pictures designed and taken by that person. So it's a possibility to do all kinds of things with it, which is really, I think, a lot of fun.
Nice.
All right, let's go back over. So after Blurb, we're going to talk about Adobe Stock. Fantastic way. They've done, really a lot of work setting up keywords and getting this ready for you to actually go do. If you have a Creative Cloud, you just get paid directly, Creative Cloud account, or you can set up an account just to sell your work. So there's lots of things. High resolution images, they're extremely picky about the images that they will take. They obviously have so many pictures, hundreds of millions of pictures, by the way, and video that you can sell, and vector graphics as well. So the possibility is to make some really good money. And this is passive income. So if you've already created the work, let's have an aftermarket for it. And that's really the whole thing about any stock agency. And I didn't put a lot of stock agencies in here, basically because there's so many, you can find them out for yourself. Here's Adobe Stock, and then it has the sale part, And if you want to be to generate artwork that goes in there, you can go right here to Firefly. So they do take AI made images. So
I was going to say one thing. It's funny how similar the stock.adobe.com looks like Adobe Firefly interface. It's that new
well,
design that they're
I don't know if you
implementing.
really realized it, but I actually hit the generate button, so I am actually in Firefly right now while I'm inside Adobe Stock. So yes, they're getting consistent with their design, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And you can see some of the images, and you want to take a look. And the stock market is just like the real stock market. You want to study what the trends are. If Halloween's coming up, start making images now, months in advance, because those people that are working at designing stuff are going to look for those Santa pictures 3 months ahead of time because they've got to make those point of purchase displays
You mean
and all those
Halloween?
different ways. Yeah, for sure, right? So there's hundreds of those. There's Getty stock. There's all of them. Some of them are not taking AI generated images. Most of them, in fact, all the ones obviously with wire stock we talked about, definitely taking AI generated images. In fact, they're making that their business. Etsy. Okay, so print on demand. Anything you can put on Etsy, you get your own store. There's a 6.5%
Right.
transaction fee for shipping and wrapping. Yeah.
I was going to say you can create your image onto like pillows and stuff with Etsy, right?
Yes.
I would
Yeah,
love
you
to,
can
like,
put
with
it on
these pillows I
everything,
have on my
basically.
bookcase. I would like to have my artwork on some,
There
right?
you go. Have you done that yet?
No, I've just StreamYard, Photoshop, Lightroom. I've got an
Yeah.
Adobe Max one, you know.
Yeah, so you can see the kind of gifts that, are handcrafted for the most part, but there's a whole area where you're talking about calendars and planners, for example. So there's your artwork hanging up in these different forms and form factors. You set up your own store, so you drive it. So you need to get your social media people enacted so they know that they can come find you here. And then they do the fulfillment. So you basically upload the image. They already have pre-made templates. So your image drops right in there. They'll tell you what the sizes for the artwork need to be. So you do need to prep and get ready to do that. Part of the thing I'm going to be sending you, the PDF after this thing is in fact, you can put it in the queue there, Andrew, if you wouldn't mind,
Which one?
is in it, the link to the PDF.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Is that it has all kinds of like things to do and what to think about. So it's also linking to guides. So if you want to start Etsy, go find a YouTube video how to make a great Etsy site, right? And how to maintain and how to actually make money from it. So, and this is just one of the categories. And the categories are all of these. So babies stuff, bags and purses that you can get stuff printed onto, bath and beauty, books and movies, clothing. Oh my goodness. So this is what's called print on demand. So you basically sit back, you put up your artwork, you have to set up your store, you got to manage it, you got to make sure people are happy with the products when they're delivered. Etsy does a spectacular job of making sure all these things are ready for you. If you actually make something that you're shipping yourself, you can set it up a different way. But for the most part, for images that you and I would be doing, the way we would do it is exactly like you see there. ArtStation, another sort of stock, but what's different about it is ArtStation. I'm going to take you right there. You can sell all kinds of assets. So you can actually shop for the marketplace here, and you can see these are the type of assets you can buy. You can buy comic books, tutorials, gaming assets, so 3D assets and that kind of stuff. So if you want these anime Vampiro figures, and here's the 3D pictures library, you can view them and you can buy them. So you can be a reseller here and start selling on marketplace like this. So this has digital brushes, even brushes that you use in Photoshop, for example. Obviously, artworks that you create. Like what cool brushes these are. In fact, I haven't been in here in a while. I don't go because I want to buy everything, right? Books and comics. So you've got a fanzine or something that you created. Hey, $10, there you go. So you sit back and collect the money. So these can be digital artworks and digital assets that you're selling right through this system, or any other way. Now, the way I came up with the 10 that I'm showing you today is by just saying basically to ChatGPT, hey, what are the best, most profitable 10 ways people are making money? Zazzle's the next one. It's a print on demand thing. And you can see it's There's no upfront costs. There's a mobile app as well. You earn 15% commission plus bonuses on selling custom fashion home decor items crafted worldwide. You set your own royalties, so that means how much profit. Obviously, a cap costs money for Zazzle to produce. They also take money for shipping and handling and fulfillment, right? But you're sitting back, you just put your little best grandpa logo on there, and then you get your $5-10 off each one. So it's a micro product management system when you think about it that way. So you just have to set yourself up to realize that, what are the trending products on there? So, outlines and that kind of stuff, my stuff and selling. This is how you get paid. And this is the community hub. And here's new products that are available. So coffee mugs, pillows, t-shirts, etc. It's your print on demand type of a system. So that's very similar to the last one that we took a look at. Fine Art America. Okay, so Fine Art America can also have throw pillows and fleece blankets and duvet covers, etc., etc. Actually, I think that's the wrong slide. My apologies. That's not here. This is for the wrong slide. I made a mistake there. Sorry about that. No, it's about framed art projects. So you can see here, in fact, I didn't mean to go that way. I mean to go this way.
No, I mean with throw pillows, all that. That's probably interlinked to.
Yeah, that's another. That's the next page I'm going to. My apologies. Yeah. Fine Art America might take a minute to pop up. For some reason, it was acting weird today. But it's for fine artwork. So it's the stuff that you want to get framed, right? Let me just try to reset this and see if I can get onto it. I don't see it up in the list here. Printify, Fine Art, Zazzle, ArtStation. Yeah, I had trouble with this site before. But yeah, it's for framed artwork and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to skip that one just for now. This is from the next page, I believe. Let's see. Oh, Redbubble. Okay, so Redbubble has all kinds of products. I'm going to go on over to that because I know that will load up quite well. Yeah, there we go. So you've got artists and you've got all kinds of stickers and t-shirts and posters and all kinds of stuff. So you can sell here as well. So sell your art, here is the button. And there's even stickers. And I don't know, my students are all over the stickers. I'm not quite sure what the deal is. And there's a little movie about who your fans are and how do you sell your work, and then what kind of stuff you do, and then how you sell it. So phone covers, baby onesies. I mean, just the possibilities of the 70 unique planet capabilities. They're very sustainable. So they're thinking about some things beyond even what you might think about these little tchotchkes that you're going to buy from different services. But it's definitely one worth checking out because there's a lot of money being made. Printify is probably the #1 print on demand service. So if you're doing stuff for companies, so your company wants coffee mugs to give to all their clients, right? Then you can see some of the use cases here, how it works, what the pricing is. So you can be a premium user and you have 10 stores per account. Or an enterprise, you can have unlimited stores. So you can set up stores so that you are basically the designer in the front end that get your artwork put on these things. Their catalog of products is spectacular. And take a look at this. Everything from socks to mugs to glassware to ornaments they have Christmas ornaments now. I mean, how bizarre is that? Home decor. I don't really know what all these things are, but here's the top sellers. So you're basically taking these objects and putting your logo on them. And then they help you with preset designs, figure out how that's going to work. So they give you the dimensions. If you have any skills at all as a designer, you can start to put your artwork all kinds of places. So canvas prints, phone cases, mugs, tote bags, match your style and target any audience, or do it for your own business and get fulfillment done. Society 6 is a sort of an interesting one. It's wall art, home decor, kids apparel, blah, blah, blah. But they're into artist rights, and they're very much support the LGBTQ community and the art movements. And you'll see their artwork is a little bit different than.
I think they're in Los Angeles. I think I visited.
They?
Yeah, I think
that
I
would make
visited a
some
gallery.
sense. Yeah. But look at these beautiful textiles and fabrics. But this is basically artwork that you could have created in Midjourney or in Firefly or any of the applications, right? And then you apply them to different places. Bath mats, for gosh sakes. I mean, I wouldn't have not even think of this. Of course, they always want to give you some 50% off. Nope, I don't want I don't want the money out, right? So there's your bath mat, right? So you took that image you made today. That could be a bath mat in your home today, right? So do it yourself. So $30 for this thing. So what are you getting? Probably about $5 in the process. And they take care of manufacturing and delivering. And you can pick your colors and you can take a look for your style and what you want. So it's, I don't mean to send you on a way where you start to like want to buy everything, but that's kind of what it is. And that's it for the show. And the last bit here is, I'm sorry, is just the QR code. So if you want to take a look at my YouTube channel, what you can do is here's my bit.ly. You can see it's bit.ly/M Rick McCawley. So if you take my name, you can find me everywhere. There's about 40 pages of Google stuff when you go take a look for me. So I'm going to back out of this presentation and bring it back to you, Andrew, and answer any questions that we can.
Yeah, very good. So we will be sharing the Rick's presentation and notes. So obviously you can't click on the screen here, but it will be in the description on the YouTube where the recording is. So that will be there. Rick's presentation and notes. And let me, in fact, grab that now so I can put that in my notes. And yeah, fantastic. Any questions for the people? Still a good amount of people still here. But yeah,
has anybody tried
nice
spelling different ways? Yeah, I've done 4 of the things I just showed you. I'm getting ready to do Fine Art America, and I'm doing a children's book for Amazon and a coloring book for Amazon. So if anybody has some experience, I'd love to hear about it. And reach out to me on Facebook. I'm public and open, got a ton of friends and fans, and I share these kind of tips like literally 24/7. There's about 8 to 10 per day. Or join my AI or Andrew's group, which is, Andrew.
Right. So let me go through the links, but first, let me answer this question. So how do we get the notes if we're on Facebook? So what's going to happen is I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, here is a link to the recording. All you have to do is when you go to watch this on YouTube, in the description will be various links. So just to let you know, I will have a link. I am an affiliate, to be crystal clear. But I'm an affiliate with Topaz because I liked it so much that I reached out and asked to be an affiliate. So
then
I have a link for Topaz Photo AI.
I use it too.
I also recommend StreamYard for multi-streaming, which is this wonderful platform that enables me to stream to various Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube all at once seamlessly. Thank you. And then Rick's presentation and notes. So his bit.ly for the presentation and notes will be in the YouTube description. So let me go through that. So first is you can follow, and once again, thank you, Rick. This was great. I think it was a nice balance between showing my way I create and then places that we can sell. And yes, people
is that a pillow of your artwork right behind your head there, Andrew?
Oh, so this is where is it? So let me get back here. It's not a pillow.
Oh, it's a print. Okay.
But it's a print.
I think you need that on a pillow.
Yeah, someone had printed this and then put it on a nice heavy wooden background. So this was at Adobe Max. So this was on one of the
nice. So those print-on-demand services and Art America can definitely help you get that done for yourself as well. So you can upload your own pictures and then you can go sell it, make some passive income. You got to support these expensive habits, right?
That's right. To keep us creating, support our art. So, and a way that you can follow us. So once again, thank you, Rick. And the way that you can follow us is you can follow Rick at bit.ly/m/Rick McCawley. And that will probably be in the notes or in the different event pages on Facebook too. The Rick's presentation and notes will be in the description of this YouTube recording. And I wanted to remind everyone to please subscribe for more AI art and digital art focused live streams and tutorials on my YouTube, youtube.com/digitalartdrew. That's youtube.com/digitalartdrew. You can also follow, Digital Art Drew on YouTube. You can also follow me on Facebook. Appreciate the support. I also have my digital artist Andrew Kavanagh page, but I'm now also focusing on my regular profile, which I switched over to the professional mode. So have different features that I can focus on. So please follow or like and follow on my facebook.com/andrew.kavanagh. And come and therefore follow my digital artist Andrew Kavanagh page on Facebook, facebook.com/digital artist Drew. So there has to be a good handful of people who have watching this through the different groups. If you are not already in it, please consider joining the Photoshop and Lightroom group, facebook.com/groups, Photoshop Lightroom group. I think it just passed 371,000 members.
Woohoo! Yes.
And then the AI art and digital art group, facebook.com/groups, AI art, digital art, just passed 35,000 members.
Wow. I post there all the time. It's fantastic. I'm one of the moderators. So
That's right.
interact with me, leave me some love, baby. Because we're all here basically as artists trying to give love out. And I think that's my message. Namaste to you all. You can support each other as artists in the digital community by buying local, right? Artists who really every day are doing this because they love it. Show them love back by listening to their music and by going to live performances.
I was thinking what we should do too, Rick, is for the AI art and digital art group, we should do some contests. And both me and Rick are community experts and Adobe Express ambassadors for Adobe. We can give out, I believe, once or twice a year. We can give out a, I think it's 6-month or 1-year subscription to the Adobe Creative Cloud as a
that's
a
real money
prize.
there. Yeah. I didn't say it to you, Andrew, but I want to create a magazine once a month of the best artwork that I can find for
Cool.
everybody. But I want to base it off your community that's already generating just amazing work.
Yeah, we can highlight that to the top of the group.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So
Because I think seeing stuff in print is a whole different experience than on your phone and Facebook, right?
Oh yeah, it's wide variety of ways to see our work. So, but yeah, so this was great, and thanks everyone for watching. And do keep your eye out for new events, live video events with me and Rick. We have a brand new year for us to come up with all these great different topics, and we will be bringing our friend John Williams into the fold to do a triple threat of creativity. So, and John, John does Photoshop and he does the AI, but he also has a great hand with the video. So might have to do one where, Rick focuses on one specialty, I on another, and John on his other, which might be video. So we got a bunch of thanks. So yeah.
We appreciate the love, folks.
Says, thank you so much.
I mean, we do this. We're not getting paid to do this. We do it for love, right? We're doing it because we want to help you find your own love and your own bliss and be able to enjoy what every human being really in the face of AI. I find my humanity here because it ain't human. We are. And we want to celebrate those things. Go to a live concert. Go find someone who's got artwork on display at a museum and go follow them, and then go there and buy a print off the wall. Support your local artists, because none of us should die not having been heard from or seen. Love should expand, and we should be able to give it to each other. So this whole thing is an act of love. And namaste to you all for participating with us. And hopefully you share this and spread the love, baby.
And do consider joining the AI art and digital art group. A lot of great artists there, and you can also share your work as well. So yeah, come join.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and I've really appreciated following your progress as you become even more an accomplished artist. I've seen over just the year that I've known you, it's gotten really, really good, and you're getting on a roll. So I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah, it used to be the photo montage, digital art, and then I pretty much embraced AI and mix it through as you saw today.
Yeah,
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and keep your eye, as I say, on the top pinned post of the groups. That's where we have the news for any live events coming up, any Adobe updates or news, any contests, special things. Maybe me and Rick will have a conversation about other things that we can start posting in the group.
And if you have things you want to see in the next broadcast, let us know what those things are. We'll talk about anything.
Excellent. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Aiken. Good comment here. Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone. And keep your eye on the top featured posts of the groups, and keep your eye out for the link to the recording. Please subscribe to my Digital Art Drew YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody.
Namaste.